Peace, everyone. Peace, peace, peace. It is your girl, the real Toni Hickman. And yes, we are going live today on Toni Hickman Presents. How y'all doing? I know it's going to take a minute for everybody to come on, but I have noticed in my lives, because I do put them on YouTube. So I've noticed in my lives when I don't talk in the beginning, I have to, it's just a lot of silence. And so I'd rather not have that. So yes, if you have never been to my channel before, or this is your first time with Toni Hickman Presents, welcome. And thank you for coming. I have a wonderful guest coming on today, and I'm really stoked about him coming on. And he has already joined at 7 o'clock on the dot. Hold up, let me invite you, brother. And so we are going to wait for this young man to come. Oh, he's already here. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about. That prompt execution right there. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Just living a good life, right?
Yeah. I had a teacher here. He used to say, every day is a good day, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It gets better. The more you expand on the light, on the awareness, there's a good saying, right? The light, it only expands based on the value you give it, you know?
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. What I've discovered too is like once you start expanding, it's never ending. It's like it never ends. You always see more that you need to do, more that you need to do within yourself. I don't know. How's that working for you?
Yeah, it's this thing, it's like the Pandora's box, man. You know,
Yeah.
it it's so interesting because I could go out and do the same type of practice every day, the same type of moves, but internally, you know what I mean? Like it changes the
Right.
deeper you get into it, man. I'm it kind of blows my mind, because I mean, on the outside looking in, it just looks like, it's a regular little slow physical exercise, but they can't fathom really what be going on inside.
And
It's
that's what we are here to understand right now because I found your page through, I think, the first brother I interviewed, Ella Tom.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I found your page and I started watching you and I was just really amazed at your journey, and just your discipline and your philosophy, like all of that. I really, I like your discipline too. And so, I want to ask a whole bunch of questions and all of that. And we have people coming on. Thank you everybody for coming on already. I am
right.
so grateful.
Peace,
Thank
family.
you so much. So go ahead. You can introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, my name is ESO. You could call me ESO. That's what they call me. All right, I'll
Okay,
keep
ESO. See,
that.
I was saying ESO. Look, I'm saying ESO.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. ESO is the right way on how to say it. And,
Okay.
and you see the smile. The smile is really from the inside, right? Uh, so I had a very interesting journey, man. I didn't start off with the practices. It was mainly, a brother from the military, okay, was the one that actually like put me on to a lot. So
Hmm.
I started off mainly on revealing the conspiracy theories, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on with the Illuminati. And at that time, there wasn't really any YouTube, really. Like,
Right. Okay.
this was back in 2009, you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So, I was really into that. I also became a student of Phil Valentine. Phil Valentine.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yes.
right. Yeah, I was his student. He really helped to put me like with the science, the sacred science. Brother
Mm-hmm.
Valentine really put it on. And then at the time, Valentine he was breaking down how we fell from the breatharian state, you know, and deeper into denser realities, right? And he did it so eloquently, man. So I do honor that time I had with him, that one-on-one, you know.
Yes.
And then basically a good close friend of mine who's very hidden, that's when he revealed to me that he basically could live on energy. And he's like an elder to me. So that's when I started to, you know, obviously that makes you question everything. And then that's when I got into the concept. The deep I got into it, we were talking about charging the battery. Okay. And he was telling me, along with a few other pretty good energy workers, I could say, they talked about how a lot of people skip preliminary steps.
So explain that. Explain what are preliminary steps.
We rush into doing long extended fasts, while some people, they could pull it off. There's a lot of times where people will, you know, they'll be kind of stuck in this phase where they have some energy and then they don't, you know, and then they end up going back to stimulants, you know. So there's basically the first step was, so he brought up, you got to find your spot outside in nature and you got to charge your battery. And I said, okay, what do you mean by that when you say charge your battery? All right. So basically, the natural breath of humans is just not deep enough. It's really not that deep. All right. And even people's meditations are more like when the breath slows down and they feel the vital energies and all that, it's more conservation and circulation than it actually is about charging up or powering up. Okay. Because I asked him, I was like, so when you say charge the battery, are you talking about meditation? And he strangely said no. I said, so what do you mean? Okay, so if it's not meditation, so he said, put it like this, and going back, your breath isn't going deep into the lower chambers of the body. All right. So I had a misconception of what the abdominal breath actually was. I thought that I was breathing into the abdomen because my belly was coming out when I would breathe, and it would contract when I exhale. Come to find out, even in esoteric literature, which I found out after I started learning how to do it, so the books kind of confirmed my experience. Okay. Come to find out, the belly breathing is only half of the abdominal breath. Okay. So when you fully breathe in, you should feel not only the front come out, but the lower back, the sides, the hips, the PC muscle, the whole abdominal area fills up like a balloon. And it actually takes, so basically the practice that I teach helps to stretch out these areas and open it up so you could experience filling yourself up at your root. So when we talk about charging up, we really talking about the full abdominal breath. So as you get older, you know, because of the excessive external stimuli, all of the stuff that we go through, the stress, you know how it is on earth, man. So the breath, the awareness from the mind leaves the body. So because you're so
with the breath, as you focus more on the abdominal breathing, that's what you're saying?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is people's minds have completely left their bodies. Like they're never in their body. They're always like worrying about work.
I got what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Watching Netflix or they're always being externally stimulated. And what took place was parts of the body went into a dormant state. That's the primary reason. Now you can bring up, of course, the dense foods, the overuse of lustful sex, all those other things. But the primary reason is the lack of awareness, because you still had masters that cultivated and did some pretty good things, and they weren't really the greatest eaters like that, but they developed their awareness Okay. So
Okay.
the first is to understand one, okay, well, what is the main reason as to why the body goes into this state that we call disease? So, oddly enough, one of my like a yogi elder, he would say disease don't exist. So I would obviously challenge that or think to myself, okay, so why? So then I was lucky enough to be around, to have really good teachers in my life. All right. I'm not one of them that was just bestowed. The angels came down and, and they, and they came and gave me, no. I am a product of really great role models, men, brothers. Okay. So that just been, and again, some of them straight from the hood, had party for, what I mean, how they talk, but they was real. They really cared about you, man.
Yeah.
They took the time to really break it down, So I going back to losing the awareness, the first step of what you call disease is that it's not something that's attacking you, and neither is the immune system. The how the immune system functions and how the medical mafia, the medical church, right? How they say the immune system functions is not really how it functions like that. So I was more introduced seeing the immune system as a support system for healing, rather than a battle or war field between viruses and, you know what I'm saying? Like, if viruses coming to attack, no, mainly the attack was my own mind. I was the one creating it. And the state that I was putting the body in was causing it to react that way. And also parasites, even the way Valentine broke it down, you got to first look at how it originated from the mind. Because a parasite, they only could really affect you if you have already been compromised. We always have microorganisms and stuff going through us because I don't know if you ever heard of the microbiome, where they talk about how a human being is only 10% body cells. The other 90% is bacteria, viruses, like a whole ecosystem of microorganisms. You're more viruses and bacteria than you are human.
I never heard of that, but thank you. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So there are certain viruses and bacteria that are dormant in you. And once activated from a level of purity, from purifying, from awareness, they actually go in and they start to activate dormant parts of your DNA. Even the Egyptians spoke about at death, there are ancient viruses that activate and go in and start reawakening all the DNA and stuff like that. So when you look at it, even as an example, there's this octopus. Was it an octopus? I'm trying to remember, but the octopus could light up. Like it was able to light up in the dark, and it could camouflage.
Right.
It could camouflage itself. But it didn't have that ability until it allowed for a particular kind of bacteria to come inside it, and it kind of made itself home in the species, in the octopus. All right. So that octopus gained an ability by a particular virus or bacteria coming into it. It's deep. So there's some things. So if you look into, I forgot his name. I think his name was David Jubb. He taught breatharian too. He did it through urine, but he talked about the microorganisms that live inside the cells. Okay, not inside. No, let me reword that. These aggregate of microorganisms, they call them colloid of life, and they precede the formation of DNA. All right, so they are the builders of reality. Okay, so what takes place is when you start to ingest certain things, not be connected to nation, lose that awareness, the microorganisms, they start to morph and transform into something that would look more parasitic, but it was still based upon the imprint of the program that the body is always functioning perfectly, always, but it always thinks it's helping you. Like no matter whether it's stage 4 cancer or that adaptation from the cell's perspective, they're doing their best to keep you alive.
And so that leads to one of the questions I had for you, because I was on your page and I saw something about the debate I think you were having with someone about diseases prolong your life. Do you want to expand on it? Or I guess that's what we're talking about now, right? Like, can you go into that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question. So, yeah, disease is a creative principle. It's the same thing as health. All right.
Okay.
But when what we call health is a vital intelligence. It's the nerve energy in the brain. Okay. What it's doing is, remember, everything you ingest, it's the brain that makes use of it. It's the nervous system that breaks down the food, the herbs, all of that. So the vital energy of the brain, when there's severe droughts of water, mineral deficiency, or a lack of negative ions, what it does is it will cleverly adapt itself and transform itself in order to prolong your life. But when a doctor looks at it on the microscope, he'll say, oh my God, you have an infection.
Right.
Or, oh, you have immediately he'll say, so here, take these antibiotics, take this, which is anti-life, So the problem with life has never been disease. The problem there actually isn't any problems here. The problem here is human perception. That's the problem on earth. Because when you start to clean yourself up, you realize, wait a minute, oh, fuck, this is heaven here. It's heaven. Right? When you clean up a bit. So we're not saving the world. We just helping to clear up human perception, and human thought has become a pollution.
Oh, that was powerful right there. Y'all heard that? Human thought has become a pollution. That's powerful. So true.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, you could feel people's auras, that's just what happens. So those thought forms, it then pollutes the waters of life. It pollutes the waters around the cells. And then the cells then start to, again, like I said, they start to adapt. But that adaptation process, that's what they call the law of vital adjustment. That's the first step to how what you call disease forms. Okay? So like, for example, if each emanation of the sun, sunrise, midday, sunset, it gives off different secretions by the body. It stimulates the body in different ways. All right? So if a person was to miss this, the sun being outside, if they miss this for a prolonged period of time, the body would not be stimulated to create certain hormones and certain minerals. Because, vitamin D is something that's created by the body. The sun just stimulates the body to create it. So when we disconnected or don't have that awareness outside on nature, without the negative ions, the electrolytes, the body isn't being stimulated. So then it starts to get lazy and go into a dormant state. When I say a dormant state, parts of it start to shut off, all right? Because it's not using it. If it's not using it, then, then what takes place is we then this is when the fall of consciousness started to take place. We started to use herbology, learn the biochemistry, where we would learn where parts of the earth didn't have the sunlight like that. So we would learn, since the body's a hybrid, you could instigate or stimulate it in different ways. Okay, you could use like homeopathy, chemists, herbologists, right? They are like alchemists that would then provide a secondary way to stimulate the body in order to go into action. But if you had that, basically that the sunlight, or develop that awareness, you charge up your battery, you could actually tap right into it directly and get that nourishment. So from our perspective as a cultivator, all right, a cultivator just learns how to truly rest and breathe as deep as possible to allow for the body to be stimulated to do its work. But if you're not cultivating and you do not know true rest, which is not sleep, sleep is not true rest.
What is true rest?
Spine upright, full abdominal breath, meditation, Qigong, even Tai Chi. You could say Tai Chi is more of circulation of Qi. It's not cultivation, you know. But basically, you just in this deep state of relaxation, all right, and good posture, and you let the vital energies start to circulate, all right. Now, there's a way, like I say, the meditations of most human beings, it's good to do the Qigong breathing to open up the abdominal area. And then over time, as you start to feel your Qi and harness more, your natural breath will be enhanced. So a lot of people, they're meditating, but they're mainly just taking a break.
So can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, because we have a couple of people on, but even the people that are going to see this afterwards, is there a way, and I know you have a class, which we're going to get to that before you get off, because I want to encourage people to take your class, and I'm going to look into it too, because breathing, I know is so important, and if we connect it to our emotions, and when we get upset, we're breathing short, when we're nervous, we're breathing like short breaths. So if you could explain to us right now, everybody who's on here right now, like an example of a good breath versus like the worst kind.
Okay, so one thing you would realize is people may, a lot of people breathe like they're having a panic attack.
Yes.
Right? It's very shallow. It's up in the chest.
Right.
Right? And so it's not really penetrating, or the life force energy in the breath isn't being circulated and stored in the body. So the worst form of breathing is mouth breathing. If you're breathing through the mouth and breathing shallow on top of it, that's the worst. Why? Because the mouth doesn't filter the breath. If you're doing mouth breathing, it's like drinking tap water. Will you drink tap water, or will you filter it first through a distiller or whatever? So it's the same. Nasal breathing is how you should always breathe, through the nose. The Qigong breathing is 100% nasal breathing. Yes, we do use the mouth with mantras and certain exhales, but for the most part, all my breathing is through the nose, because the nose, it restructures the air. So when you breathe in through the nose, you're breathing structured air. All right? So that's an important thing. As simple as that. Like sometimes, like if you're trying to help someone heal, it's good to put a tape on their mouth when they go to sleep. So when they go to sleep, they force to breathe through their nose so their mouth don't be open.
Right.
Yes. Wow. Right. Wow. So, and that's a problem, because it also causes emotional. You can incite emotions. You wouldn't have a stable mind. Your emotion, even when we would train, when I would train with Shifu, and when Grandmaster would train us, the first thing they would say is that the breath has to be very thin and very light in order for it to really fill yourself up with Qi. Because if it's rough, if they would hear, you already blocked.
Right.
That means it ain't penetrating deep. When I'm breathing deep into the lower abdomen, the breath is so light and thin, it feels internal. Like
We
fully
have two
return.
questions here, so I want, because they're very important. I want to get this in. Jazzy Intuitive says, should you only use the mouth when releasing heaviness from the body?
So you would notice when you train with different people too, they would say, okay, you could inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. But to me, since from working out, from training, from, I do 100% nasal with the tongue to the roof of the mouth,
Uh-huh.
all of it. Like it's just so much better to breathe through the nose. You can exhale. That's also a cleansing breath, by the way. When you inhale through the nose and exhale through the
Exhale
mouth,
through the
that's
mouth.
also
Mhm.
a pretty good cleansing breath. But you don't have to only use the mouth when releasing heaviness from the body. No, a lot of people's exhales ain't really that deep either.
Okay.
Right? Because you'll realize if you begin the training that your inhale, it'll be easier to cultivate your inhale in the lower abdomen. But you also got to exhale from the abdomen as well. Like exhale deep. So it
Wow.
could really do its work,
Okay, so we have another question from 13 Piece. He says, brother, my nose is so clogged, especially the left nostril, and I don't trust these doctors, especially when I'm laying down. Any solution?
Okay, so what can really clear that up is urine therapy. Okay. There's a good book called Nasal Drinking. All right. It's pretty good. You don't have to only do urine, but urine to me has been the best. I actually did that this morning, actually on the beach, going to the bush. And anyway, so.
So, and we could go into that because I know a lot of people are like, what is urine therapy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, snort the urine. It's fresh. I wouldn't say do age, man. If you ain't used to the age, don't do that, but
Don't do the
definitely like
what?
fresh urine. Aged
Okay.
urine. Some people will let urine sit for a while and it gets more potent,
Okay.
right. So yeah, I recommend snorting the urine and getting into and right after you do it, doing deep breaths, you know,
Very
right.
interesting.
Neti, oh yeah, the neti pot. Like what Deja said just now. Get a neti pot on Amazon, fresh urine, and just put it right up to in your nostril and it'll drain out the other nostril. That's good.
Hmm.
The neti pot.
Okay. Awesome. And then I saw something else on your page, and you've said so much already. I want to ask questions about, because you're like, yeah, when I train with the Grandmaster, like, yeah, we want to go into all of that, because I also saw on your page that you are going to the Shaolin Temple in the UK next year. Like, that's huge. Only thing I ever knew about Shaolin was like when Wu-Tang was talking about
Yeah,
it,
yeah. Oh, they was obsessed with it, man. They loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's
So,
why they
well,
say
how did that
Grandmaster
happen?
Jam. What you say?
I said, how did that happen?
Whew. Boy, that's a long story. I was in the US for a while, you
Okay.
know. Yeah. God bless her heart. God bless her heart. I was in the US for a while. Things didn't quite work out. So I'm back here in the Bahamas, you
Right.
know, and in my hometown, I born and raised here in Bahamas.
Okay.
So long story short, I can't go back to the US because I overstayed my visa. All
Okay.
right. Long story. But my grandmaster is actually in New York, but I'm not going to America for a while. So my grandmaster has his best friend from the temple has a temple in the UK. Now you're thinking, why the UK? It's just because before my father passed away, he left me a passport because he was from there. Okay.
Hmm.
So I just happen to have that, and I renewing my passport currently, and I just go in there to get deeper into the practice
Okay.
because I know how to harness it. And now I'm starting to feel the chi in my lower abdomen, which actually took me a while. It wasn't just something that oh, I did it. Yo, wow, I feel it. No, that's a big misconception of people. Like they make misconceptions about it. It just takes some time, because how chi truly feels is different than what most people think.
Hmm.
It's not just this thing that's of course you have spontaneous energy sensations because your channels are opening up, but it's not under your control. It's just stuff that happens that's, oh, wow, I had this sensation. But when you start to feel the chi, you realize, just like a hybrid, how you could switch, how a Prius could switch from gas to electric. You could switch from regular human breathing to energy breathing.
And
All right.
you have to, you cannot say anything like that and not explain it. Please
Okay.
say what the difference is.
So the difference is your chi is synced. Okay. So the breath, when you start to feel the chi, it always starts off in the lower abdomen. It does not start off in the hands, the feet, the chest. It starts at the root. That's where it grows. And what do I mean by that? Is when the chi is felt, you will feel the abdominal area naturally fill up and expand like a balloon. Okay, hence like the Buddha, the belly on Buddha,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
You will feel it expand. This expansion then grows slowly as you keep filling yourself up with the chi. It grows slowly throughout the entire body.
Okay.
They say it usually takes 9 to 12 years to get
Wow.
abundant of it. Usually.
Okay.
All right. And this is not with natural breath. Because you have it's a technique to blow up the body. Like you pump it, like when you pump in it, and I always use this analogy, right? When you pump in the tire
Yes.
on a bicycle, if the tire is not filled with air, it's soft. You could push your thumb down on it, right? When the tire is filled with air to the max, it gets hard, right? You could hit it. That's how you see some kung fu masters where they could get hit and not feel it because they're filled up with the chi from the QIGONG. All right. So the chi naturally feels, it's not the tingling and all of that. That's just better vital circulation. All right. Of your fluids, of your lymph, of the chi that some of the chi you already have, because the chi follows the blood. Right. So, but over time, it will fill up and blow up in the abdominal area. And you could turn it on when you relax, what will take place is the breath will be very thin and light, and you will feel the breath drop to the pelvic floor, the PC muscle, the sexual organ, the jing. So the pelvic floor, I don't know if you ever heard the term when the jing, the essence, the sexual essence transforms into chi. I don't know if you ever heard that before. So when they say the jing, when you retain that sexual energy.
I saw that on your page. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Right. The breath will, the energy, the intention from blowing up and filling up the abdominal area, you will feel the breath drop almost like to the pelvic floor, right by the sexual organs. And it'll blow up. And the abdomen will expand. And what that is the chi naturally will protect the organs. It will protect the body from external evils. Okay?
Wow.
And then your meditations will be more rich because you will actually be breathing properly because you have some chi. That's what they call the embryonic breathing, where the PC muscle, everything moves, and it won't be lungs breathing. It's not lungs breathing. It's like a chi pump in your lower region that will pump the energy up in the abdominal, and from the abdominal breathing, you will start to feel heat produce. And that heat will distill the fluids down there. So it will distill and it will rise up to the brain. Okay? Because vapor rises up, liquids fall.
Okay, yes.
Right. So you see the natural flow of what you call in the body of sexual transmutation is when it comes up as vapor to the brain, and then the brain, you feel all these secretions, and then with the tongue to the roof of the mouth, you'll feel the saliva start to drop. And then when you swallow the saliva, it'll drop back down to the abdomen. It's like rain, like the earth. right, like that. So that's a certain, and that was the first step to being an initiate or on the path of what you would call enlightenment, or just to be a cultivator, you know, because there's ranks to this.
How
There's,
long have
there's
you been doing it? How long have you been doing
I
all of this? Yeah.
I started in 2018. That's when I started. But
Oh,
you know, it was consistent. I then got deeper into, I was just doing natural breath. Then in 2020, I started the Shaolin exercises. All right. And then that's when I noticed it started to change my natural breathing. Because what the reverse abdominal breath, the breathing technique we do in Qigong is meant to enhance your natural breath. All right. Because our natural breath, it ain't the same anymore like when we was a baby. It's not. Because the baby would, when they breathe, the whole abdominal area blew up, not just the belly.
okay. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Right.
So we
So
have to
we're
go
taking you
back to
back.
that stage of breathing like we were when we were first born.
That's why the Bible say, you know, go back to being a child. Right.
Literally. Right.
Yes. But you even better now, because in that transgression, see, we put ourselves on this illusionary path where we already came with everything. But what takes place is we go through this transgression and we get into this state of cosmic amnesia,
Mm.
and we forget. So all we're doing is triggering your memory so you could remember something you already know in an ancestral sense. All right? You already know it, but you forgot. Why did you forget? Because of day-to-day life. One, because of day-to-day life. And two, our ancestors were conquered. They were conquered by these beasts. You got to bring that up too. You can't pretend
Yes.
like that didn't happen.
Right.
Look
Definitely.
at the attacks they had on our people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, even when you look at the way TV and the way rap took a turn, and how it did this behavior modification on us as youths, all of us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And we
we,
followed it ignorantly. Like we just didn't know. So we thought it was cool and we didn't know, you know? So
yeah, I mean, like even on the island, like, you know, celebrities was the dope boys. You see, that's just how it was,
yeah.
you know? So it was, you got to get past all these mental constructs. Even when you look at when Tupac came out, Biggie, and then Godfather, and then so that was, again, that was the way we were modified, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to let go of these ways and start to figure, you know, start to come back to your true state,
Yeah.
the true self, which is the most blissful experience. And it's you. All you're doing is experiencing the real you, but it's
The
just you can.
discipline you though, it has to be and that's what I think that's one of the main reasons I gravitated to starting more liquids, is because
Right.
I like the discipline and it also makes me see the mirror of everything else I need to do in my life, like everything else. And so I think discipline, because we can become so complacent in the way we have been that we don't keep becoming, you know? And so I
Yes.
think discipline is like highly important in our own elevation. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and you know, it's another thing, like, to you prep yourself up. You know, you got to prep the channels, prep the body. You
Right.
know, you don't just pull up and reach a samadhi state or go in nature and you able to harness negative ions like that. You know, my qigong today is entirely different and completely alien to when I first started. It's
Wow.
completely, that's how deeper it is for me. When I inhale, and I'm on the inhale, you're contracting the energy up to the brain. All right. It's a
So look,
contraction.
I know everybody on, when you said inhale, I know everybody just took a deep breath. Like it's like, okay, we're doing it with you. But yeah, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's when you inhale, it's an internal. So you're not focused on the inhale. You actually ignore the inhale and you bring the mind in the body.
Okay.
You bring the mind in the body, and what you're doing is you're contracting the abdomen in and opening the chest. All right. It's a way it's done. All right. So you contract the abdomen in, open the chest, but you're raising the awareness up, the spirit up, and you're increasing your lung capacity. And at the same time, you're breathing through the crown of the head. All right. Then when you exhale, you then drop the breath, the chi, and expand and drop it back in the abdomen, and you expand the abdominal area. So it's a contraction and expansion. If you look up on Google, type in progressive muscle relaxation.
Y'all got that?
All right. Yeah, progressive muscle relaxation. That's something that's done in our Qigong, because what it does is it puts the body more in a relaxed state, even though it's really, I ain't gonna lie, it's really fucking rough. It's tough.
Why?
Oh boy, when you come to the training, you can see what I mean. Because it ain't. You got to put in some work. You really got to put in some work. A big problem with people's cultivation is that it's too relaxed. And I know that's like, wait a minute, didn't you say it's good to be relaxed? Yes, but it's too yin. You got to push yourself to open up certain channels. You see, like what, like Tay, she'd say sweating bullets. She'd be in the training.
Right.
Like sweat,
Okay.
like dripping sweat. All you doing is these slow movements, but it's the internal stretch inside. See, Qigong is an internal stretch and an external stretch. It's not yoga. It's different than yoga. You see? And even though in yoga it's great, they say it. They say breathe in the prana, but no, that this is deeper than that. This is a very deep breath. Something that you've never, like your whole life, you was like, wait a minute. This whole time I wasn't breathing. Not really.
Wow.
Not really. And the thing is, juices are great for repair. Juices are great in fasting for cleansing the channels, for repair. But apples and the juices, they don't adjust the breath for you. That takes training. That takes meditation. That takes awareness. All right? Because I had a few people that were liquiditarian that were on juices for a while, but they still felt out of shape. They still.
I know I'm gonna benefit from your class. Like, I have no doubt. And there's something else I want to go into, because before I even invited you on, I told you the people that follow me are either like people who have hustled and followed me through my music, people with disabilities, because I also had 2 brain aneurysms and a stroke. And so I have different people that follow me for different reasons. But I want to ask you too, like, even somebody, just say if you have somebody that is in a wheelchair, or, you know, they're experiencing that, like I have some friends who've been shot and they're in a wheelchair or whatever, and they wanted to start practicing this. Would it be something that they can do?
I would personally, I would have to like do an evaluation with them.
Okay.
Because most of the Qigong out there, right, it starts you off where like, okay, we got to get you from chest breathing to belly breathing. See,
right.
If that person is in a chronic condition, the type of breathing I teach could cause more tension in the body. So you may have to start them off with just getting them to breathe, to do the front part abdominal breath. Go from chest to belly.
Okay.
Then let them cleanse a bit. Let them do some movement, some slow movement, some meditation, get more of the circulation going. And when they feel a bit more up for it, vitality, they don't have to be like fully there, but at least a bit more vitality. Then I could slowly bring them into the reverse breath, the embryonic breath, or breath before. There's so many different names to it, but ideally the reverse abdominal breath, you know.
Okay.
So I would have to basically talk to them, do an evaluation, and I, you know, and see how they feel. But for the most part, for most people, yes, you can start with it. For most people, even
Right.
people that have diseases, they still could start with it. We just talking about maybe elders or someone that really like, you know, in a pretty difficult shape, you know.
Well, who I'm talking, I mean, I have a couple of people in mind. They're actually on this feed. But I have a couple of people in mind, and then they switched, like they're vegan, but they kind of changed. I helped them change their diet as
Beautiful.
well. So I think they're in like a better state if they wanted to start. But
Oh
yeah, I'm
yeah.
definitely interested in your class. Okay, another thing, because a lot of us have busy lives. And also, like, do you have to be outside to do these deep breaths?
No, you don't have to be outside, but it is recommended to, even if you didn't know it, to go outside, go to a park, go outside your front yard, you know, just to get that outside air. You know, that's where a lot, believe it or not, see, the whole dehydration thing, people think that it's from a lack of water. But what people don't understand is that H2O that they giving you is just wet. It only wet. It don't have the electrolytes, you know, the minerals. And again, when we talk about vitamins and minerals, you got to first look at electrolytes. Then electrolytes are broken down into the vitamins and minerals. Look at electricity, light. So when you really look at it, where is most of it coming from? In nature.
Yeah.
Outside. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So when it is recommended to get the negative ions around trees outside. But here's the problem, right? When you start to learn how to cultivate your breath and harness, most people, they just blow the breath in one hole and out the other. It ain't even being fully used like that. Just that ain't being used like that. It's a way to really relax and to allow the body to make use of the prana in the air. You're teaching the body how to eat, not how to be deprived. You know what I mean? How to actually eat. This is how think about it. Without the breath and the sun, I mean, we gone, we vanished. There ain't no experience here.
That's true. That's so true.
Regardless if you vegan, fruitarian, or whatever.
It doesn't matter. You're right.
So we could all agree that almost all of nutrition comes from sunlight and is in the breath. Because without it, there would be no experience on earth for us.
Right.
Okay? So the problem is we're not harnessing it to its greatest ability. It sounds like, okay, oh, well, he's selling me air? Yes, I'm selling you how to harness it better, how to open it up, take it in, truly. There's a difference between energy work and breath work.
What's the difference?
Energy work.
Okay. So
energy work.
Go ahead.
It allows you to become abundant of chi to where it grows from the abdominal area, from the root and throughout the whole body, which takes years. Breath work stacks up on top of this energy work. So in other words, I'm saying, when you actually start to have some chi felt in the abdominal area, it enhances all of the breath work and meditation, because you have more chi to open channels. You have more chi that will follow the breath work. All right. So this foundation was why immortals, or to keep it more human friendly.
So let's go back to that, because that was another one of my questions. You brought up that word, immortal. What are your thoughts on immortality?
Well, immortality is actually already something that's made that the body is perfecting itself to be. It's just, remember, there's an automatic procedure in you. When you cut yourself, it automatically goes into regeneration. You don't have to do anything to kickstart that regeneration. All right? Just like they say, you don't necessarily have to do anything to be immortal, right? Because you already are. But because of the transgression and the amnesia, we do have to put in the work. Hence, energy work. Even if you look at the Bible, Genesis chapter 2, Genesis 1 represent the man. And when I say man, I'm not meaning male. I mean in mum, alf, nun. I mean in both male and female, because both are man. Okay? Woman is a man with a womb. So I mean in both principles. Man in Genesis 1 was made in the image of the gods, had dominion over the earth. Okay? Our body wasn't as dense like this, especially like what Bobby Hemmett and all them was talking about. Right? As we fell into deeper degrees. But Genesis 2, you will see, represents a man made of the earth, the dust of the earth, more grosser earthly elements, right? That represents the fall of consciousness. And notice what else did the Lord God say? You're going to have to work now. You have to put in the work. Because Eden represents it's anytime you look at the garden, a garden in the Bible deals with transmutation. A transmutation took place. Okay? So now you see that, okay, because of this transgression, we then had to now start putting in the work to remember the innocence that we felt from our childlike innocence. All right? And one of the main ways that they keeping us trapped in the matrix is through sexual perversion. That's a big one. And you see how the dense food plays a part in the perversion.
Yes.
When you have the dense foods, it blocks flow. And what takes place is, instead of Kundalini represents the upward spiral. But the opposite of Kundalini is Kunda buffer. I don't know if you ever heard that word.
I only heard Kundalini, but now I know about Kundalini, but never heard Kunda buffer. So explain.
Kunda buffer is the downward spiral of the same energy.
Very
so the downward spiral, because of the dense stuff, it causes a block of flow, right? And what takes place is it gives people this horny feeling, okay, an over exaggeration of being horny all the time. Okay, so what takes place is you have this false sense of, all right, since the body in itself is a sexual instrument because it got here through sex, everything around you is sex.
Yeah, the seeds, everything, nature is sex, right?
Yeah, there ain't no life without sex.
Right.
But the perversion of sex then caused what? It caused the vital energies and the most important things to not be refined and perfected, but to leave through the sexual organs. And this isn't only through ejaculation, but also through pee. All right? That's why you see some high-level cult practitioners, when they dry and in that state, they don't even pee. If you talk to Elatom, he don't even piss. It all recirculates. All right? Because that's vital elements of the blood.
Right.
So then it started to leave through the sexual organs. And what takes place is then this vital elixir is also needed as it's a form, it's an hydration, a form of nourishment. When you see those yogis meditating, their mouths are not dry, even though they ain't drinking water and eating food. Like I said, when it comes to the brain and the saliva starts to circulate, right? Their mouths are rich of the saliva, so they drinking. They're actually drinking from their nectar. All right, so they're still drinking water. So you start to see now why we started drinking from other external sources, because we broke the loop of our halo. We broke the loop where we ain't angels anymore. See, the original humans were more angelic. We weren't warlike beings. And I ain't saying we was pushovers or nothing. I'm not saying that. So for example, if you look at the reptilian mindset or the Anunnaki, or and then that's also a thing to a argument, all right, in the community. So I'm only using Anunnaki as again, that represents more of a verb. That represents an event that took place, more so than a noun of actual beings. Okay?
Gotcha.
Anunnaki represents an event that took place, a genetic mutation that took place within the human genome. There was an animal that was introduced into the human blood. Human beings were never fucking animals. The original human. We were never those. We were never part of the animal kingdom, as much as they like to say. But there was a genetic manipulation that did take place. All right. But even though your bodies were manipulated, the vital essence is not something that they created. That's why Bobby Hemmett said that we are greater than the gods that created our bodies. All right, I don't know if everyone catch that. When Bobby Hemmett said that, let me tell you, I knew where he was coming from.
That's powerful.
Because they met our essence here. Okay? Even though the body has been altered, that vital intelligence still is working its way to unlock the DNA to escape the light code lockdown. So yes, we were put under light code lockdown by beings. It did happen. I don't talk about it a lot. I just kind of keep it PG on you know what I mean, online. Let's do our little QIGONG, guys. But, you know, yeah, I don't talk. But I'm very well versed in that because I had to study that under the brother from the military. He made me he gave me assignments. Like when I came back to West Palm Beach, to Rivera Beach, I had to go and study. He gave me old scrolls. One scroll was like, was God an extraterrestrial? I had to read it. All of this stuff. So I'm well versed in that too. But at the same time, I don't use it as a way to say that they're powerful like that. The way we teach is to disempower them. Because at one point, when we saw them, which you would call the Anunnaki, which again, brothers will say that was us, but I don't know. I'm just referring to these particular beings that siphon off us. We used to see them at some point, and we thought that they were immortal. Hence, David killing Goliath. We saw that to kill giants, right? We thought they was immortal, okay? But there was a lot of uprisings. Human beings started to have uprisings against this order. So then these beings started to go undercover. Instead of overt control, where we knew about them. I don't know if you ever watched the movie 300. You ever watched that movie?
No.
Oh, man, I wish you watched that. So if you ever watched the movie
I watch
300,
it. I can watch it. I will.
It's this tall giant, right? And he's using humans as like servants and shit. Like he's sitting on the humans like chairs and then, you know, kicking his foot up, using humans like a step stool, right? That's how some of these gods look at humans. Just straight servants. I got you for my own agenda, all right? But they gone undercover. And now they are using a specific breed of humans as hybrids, you see? And these humans, it's like when you breeding pit bulls, man. Like if you breeding a certain class of pit bulls, you don't want these pit bulls to mix with other dogs. All right? Right. So that's why you see the royal families, they interbred and did incest because they wanted to keep that genetic coding, that bloodline, so that these particular entities could keep possessing them. These were the ancient enemies of the ancestors. All right? They knew about them. They were more like the arch, you know, another name from a Gnostic point of view is the archons. Okay. Right? They're more like a cyborg, like inorganic entity. But they don't create anything. But what they do is they could manipulate shit. Like, okay, they didn't create hip hop, but they could take hip hop.
They could manipulate it, right?
And they could. So what they do is everything we create that's sacred, they bastardize it. That's what they do. They bastardized hip hop. They bastardized Freemasonry, because Freemasonry also represented a sacred science as well. Everyone is a Mason, a builder of reality. But of course, the Jesuits, the Vatican, which is the Black Pope, and the Gray Pope, which is like the fucking general under these beings.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the military general, because there's 3 popes. All right, I had to study all of that, you know. But the real pope, the pope that really running the shit, is the Gray Pope. He's not seen like that, you know. And the Black Pope is the military general of the Jesuits. So anytime more people knew about the Jesuits back then, more brothers, and they knew that if you found out a Jesuit was in your town, in your city, he was only there to take it over. He was only there to overthrow the government.
Wow.
Right? Yes, if you read The Art of War, the Art of War tactic was rewritten. It wasn't written by a Jesuit, but it was translated by a Jesuit.
Mm.
They used those tactics against our people. So when I would then do these studies, I would go out with my brother who passed away in 2017, and we would go walk through the hood in Rivera Beach, and he would show me the light bulbs and stuff like that would mess with brothers' pineal gland. We would go to different plazas. One plaza would have 4 different churches. 4 different churches in one plaza. This one is a Baptist, this one is, and it's all different denominations. And the worst part is, they don't even fucking talk to each other. So I had to study how they put curses on the land. It was a curse, a spell to promote separation and not to unify. You see? So, and then the foods, there were certain foods that are sold in Black neighborhoods that you will not
and
find.
they are completely addictive, and they are a major part of us degrading ourselves because we are so addicted to these foods. So yeah.
And
I agree.
The foods in certain Black neighborhoods, you wouldn't find it in other neighborhoods. You wouldn't find it.
Yeah, I did a documentary about that called the 16th Strike, and we talked about the food deserts in our neighborhoods, and that's basically what they are. It's hard to get. You can find a church, a liquor store, and a grocery store is a distance away, but you can find fast food all the way en route to the grocery store, you know. So,
and the worst produce is sent to those areas.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I fuck here on the island. The low quality of fucking produce here. It's the same shit. You know what I mean? So it's like I know it from experience as well. You know? So you start to see where we do, you know, again, we got to take matters into our own hands. I mean, you can't expect the enemy to send good stuff, right? You know? But this is what made it really deep for me. And this is when he really changed my life. Because I was young. You know, I met him when I was 19. And then from there, I was a wrap. I was a student, right? So he told me, he said, look, nigga, you don't even know how it feels to live without the enemy.
Whoa, that just gave me chills. Wow.
He said, you don't even know how it feels. And then I was like, so then he said, come on, let's go. We go in Walmart, you know, or, you know, one of them stores, you know, convenience stores. And he'll have me pick up the ingredients, write down the ingredients and shit. And he'll say, look, you know what this stuff is in here? Go research it. And I would tell him, no, I don't know. He said, look, the reason you don't know is because they thought for you already. You don't have to think, Mark. They thought for you already. Okay? The decision was already made for you. All right? So, you know, and he was the only one, you know, a lot of brothers were mainly talking about from the Caucasian standpoint. He talked about the Caucasians, But he were mainly telling me that the Caucasians were used as a decoy. They was the ones taking the heat. And if you ever listen to Valentine too, said something very similar to that elder. Valentine said something very interesting. And he said, the ones that really doing it, hiding behind them, hiding behind the royal families. You see? So the Caucasians or whoever, they'll let anyone take the heat for them. And not the real. And at one time, he literally pinned me up, picked me up off the fucking floor. And he said, bro, let me tell you something. This ain't about good and evil. You keep saying it's about good and evil. It ain't about that. I said, okay, so what it's about then? They're not evil. No, they're not. So how the fuck, if they eating children, how they ain't evil? So I said, okay, let me explain this to you, bro. Their way of evolving is very different than ours. The way they go about evolution is, it was a good phrase. He said, we make their dreams come true. They make our nightmares become alive.
Whoa.
All right. So he pinned me up and he said, look, I want you to get a human being, an indigenous, and then stand them right next to one of these beings. He did not say it was a Caucasian. He referred to the white man as more of a vampire, and that some of them had wings and they could cuff it in their backs, because he encountered one of them in when he was in the military. A white boy, a real one, not a Caucasian, a real one, revealed that he had this bloodline, or he had these abilities that was in his uncles, you know, in his family and shit like that, you know. So that's when and again, that's when he said, when you put us next to one of these beings, it's not a matter of good and evil, it's a matter of difference. That's all. It's just different, okay? The way we can tap directly into source and tap right into it, no middleman, they can't do that. How they do it, they go through human secretions. They go through beings that have souls, especially with that melanin elixir, all right? They go through beings that have souls, but you have to understand that Caucasians are also first order beings as well. They may be a bit more recessive in melanin, but they still have it.
Right.
Right, they still have it. If you research the mucusless diet healing system, there's a guy named Arnold Rett that was a white man. He cleansed himself.
And his skin turned. His skin turned. My mom made me read the book when I was like maybe 8 years old. Yeah. But his skin turned as he cleansed his body. Like his skin started turning darker.
Yes, exactly. So he was actually melanated. He was actually like not white, but you know, so it's just the appearance. And again, if you ever listen to Delbert Blair before,
yes, I love him.
Because I had a talk with Delbert Blair before, you know.
Wow.
I was on the phone with him, and he was talking about how which I knew from my elder, but he confirmed it, that this whole thing about we one human race is bullshit. Because you have God man, you have animal man, and you have mankind. Mankind is kind of like a man, but not really. Okay? Then you have animal man, which essentially, right? Then you have some that have more of that God man. All right? So there is genetics involved that does give people more inherited treasure, a head start. But this does not mean that the animal man, through purity and cultivation and cleansing, and with the assistance of Buddhas, he can still activate that dormant DNA. It's deep. And he could actually surpass someone that have good genetics. You still got to put in the work, you know.
So I know, because somebody else had asked, like, do you have any books that you recommend where some of this information that you're talking about can be researched?
Yeah. Yeah, boy, I gotta go in the vault for that one because I don't. I've been. This was years ago, man. Like I was a scholar before I was a cultivator. You
Okay.
know. So lately, I just been reading on just cultivation and actual like things I put into application, like applied metaphysics.
Right.
I done read so much about like that and history and all of that. So but I could put something together, you know.
Okay, and
I,
then I
I
will have
definitely
you
could.
back. You are such a bottle of knowledge, and I just, yeah, it's not even enough time to get all of that out of you.
No, no.
Goodness. But I
It's
do
some
want
weird shit,
you.
man.
You said what?
I said it's some weird shit that be going on sometimes. I
And
don't
it's
say it
only
about.
weird because we don't know everything. Like even with everything, it's so much we don't know. And so it's important that we can just, people like you come along, just like Ella Tom and everybody else. It's like you feed somebody else so they can grow. And that's how we can start evolving, because I know at this point and stage in our life, it is time for most of us, well, those that are going to wake up, we have to really tune into our discipline. And when we do that, the teachers come. And they can be online, they can be on YouTube, but the teachers will come if you are actually really looking to change your life and to evolve. And so that's where you have actually come in. So I definitely want you to tell us about your class real quick. Can you tell us about your class?
Okay, so yeah, man. So I have an online program, and it's potent. It ain't just because I'm not in person with you. It's really potent, man. Because it's like I'm still in there with you. I have a big screen here where
Okay.
I could see everybody. So I still can
Beautiful.
provide correction live. All right. I give you recordings. Don't get me wrong, so you can remember the moves. But I never will recommend for you to only watch recordings. The reason that is Qigong and these ancient practices are passed on from one warm hand to the other. Okay? It's one warm hand to the other. It has to pass on that way because you won't stay motivated. I'm passing on energy to you every time we do it. Okay? So, yeah, you see someone in there like he trains with potent as fuck, right? So the gist of it is, it's this practice was from my grandmaster Guo Lin, but it was from his family. It's from a Buddhist Kung Fu family, a family of cultivators.
Okay.
This ain't just no little Qigong. This ain't even just Shaolin Qigong. I might put that in there just, but it's deeper than that.
Okay.
Okay. So these families of cultivators are hidden mostly. They pass it on because they know that if you cultivate and your wife cultivate, guess what happens? The child will inherit more.
Yeah.
Just like how we fell deeper into the matrix in slower degrees, cultivation slowly brings you back out into feeling your true state while in matter. Okay, so it's a Buddhist Kung Fu family, all right, and it is a specific breathing technique that's not natural breath. Okay, natural breath takes too long. All right.
It takes too long. Okay.
It takes too long to cultivate and open up the abdominal area, meaning you may have had to go into cave meditation or given up everything and be like, and it just would take a longer time to be full in the abdomen only from natural breath. Okay.
Look, you have a student on here, Tay XOX. She says, I'm a student of ESOs. I hope I'm saying your name right. From my experience, this is the best investment you can make for yourself. Qigong is not only helps the physical body, but helps you develop yourself spiritually. I love it.
Yeah. It's like thank you, sister. It's like applied metaphysics to earthly life. So just like how brothers, they go out to the gym and they do fitness, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, they do their thing, right? They know that they can work out the physical body. But there's practices to work out and strengthen your soul, just like you go into the gym. You strengthen it in light body. You grow in it more and more and more. And it takes time. That's why I tell people, a lot of people, and it is somewhat disrespectful a bit, because they message me and they be like, hey, just send me a YouTube video, right, of what I could do to start in Qigong. I know they may not mean for it to come out that way, but if you listen to me, and I already tell you that this is not on YouTube, it's not, okay? You could type in reverse breathing, but it would be missing the intricate details, okay? Take heed of the services. It's really not expensive, okay? It's really not. When you go to my website, it ain't really, I mean, shoot, it ain't really much. And it's something you keep with you forever. Once you stay in for a good 4 to 6 months, and you know, and you got it in and you got it down packed, you carry it with you. It ain't like I selling you a supplement where, you know, you just got to keep buying.
Right.
Yeah.
You're teaching how to truly live and breathe deeply, breathe correctly. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And so can you give out your tag again? It's ESO. Go ahead.
Yeah, I could type it in. It's
Okay, yes.
ESO underscore the
ESO.
yes,
Oh
ESO.
Lord, that's the New Orleans in me. You gotta forgive me.
Nah, it's all right. You'll get it. You'll get it. Yeah. So I just want to
ESO.
say, family. So it, you know, the trainings, you learn 7 to 8 different styles of qigong. One is even in the lotus, where we help you to get in full lotus and open the hips and the legs and all that, because that's where a lot of the energy is trapped. You
Okay.
can open up the legs and hips. The leg channels are particularly difficult to open, but it's a very good exercise. All right, with the breathing and a lot with the different movements that we do, you will see not just a superficial thing transformation. It's a gradual thing you will start to feel more and more as you keep doing it, you know, and it's perfect. If you're already on liquids, you know what I mean, and like how you doing your thing, this is
Yeah.
then actually like the main thing that fuels the body. All right. So I show you how to fully open up the abdominal area, open the chest, stretch to the max. We do all kind of different things, man. You know, so anyone that interested, you could show up Saturday. This Saturday, I'm doing just a free class to see how you like it. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all hear that, everybody? And I'm gonna announce it again on my page if you missed this, and it's gonna be on YouTube for anybody who came on and